Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to the Josh Button podcast, where we discussed outliers from society. This is episode 43, the best breathing techniques. I am going to be doing something a little different today because I've had some questions about breath work. Everybody knows I'm a huge Wim Hof fan, but that's not only the only breath work out there. In fact, there are several different modalities and techniques that you should try and discover and try for yourself. They've all got a different little, twist on things and a little bit different, things that you're doing them for, reasons for them, and different people have different, needs. And let's go into it a little bit. Today I'm working off of a book called Boundless by Ben Greenfield, who, if you are not familiar with him, check out his podcast, check out some of his writing. Some of the things he puts on his blog are absolutely mind-boggling. The things that he's done for science discovery, for biohacking, for health and wellness. I'm a huge fan. I have met him in person. I've worked out with him. He's a great guy. He is a spiritual guy as much as he is a science guy. He's down to earth. He's practical. He speaks from the heart, and he talks to people about not being perfect, but knowing, educating, sharing things that will help you no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you're on the self-mastery full-on adventure, or if you're just trying to maintain some healthier habits as you're progressing through life. But breathwork, he is a huge proponent of, and well, for many good reasons. So let's get into it. Buteyko breathing. This one fundamentally assisted me in jiu-jitsu more than any other breathwork because it does help you to be calm under pressure, under duress, and under a stressful situation. Buteyko breathing remedies are over-breathing and mouth breathing, which a lot of people, we've talked about it here before, do. A lot of people are unconsciously going about their days, never really focusing on their breath, and have breath disorders, if that's completely applicable. Because mouth breathing is just not high-functioning breath in general. We do not want excess oxygen consumption, and we do not want excess carbon dioxide exhalation. These are two parts of breathing that, if we can have them in balance and have them under control and soft, for lack of a better word, then we're going to be in a better place. And take a breath is good for sleep apnea. We don't want sleep apnea. We certainly do not want sleep apnea. If you want to recover from whatever your daily stresses are, whether you're working out, whether you're just going to your 9 to 5 and have plenty to deal with, and you're working out your brain all day, you need to be able to recover. And if you have sleep apnea and you're always gasping for air in the middle of the night and you're not allowing your body to get into deep REM sleep, you're not recovering. You're just not. Buteyko breathing, soft nasal breathing. Soft nasal breathing. In your nose, out your nose, softly, not overworking to do so, not stressing. It is far better for oxygenating your tissues and your organs. You got to practice this. This isn't something, unless you're a baby, you're just going to be proficient at. We all go through things throughout life that kind of push us away from the proficient breathing. So, if you want to get into Buteyko breath, it's named after a Russian physician who developed the technique, and it's based on the fact that when you stop mouth breathing and you learn to engage slow, whisper-like nasal breathing, you can oxygenate far more effectively. So, Buteyko breathing keeps you from both excessive oxygen consumption and excessive CO2 blow-off. Nasal breathing transports the gas, nitric oxide, more readily into your lungs because your nasal cavities produce and contain high levels of nitrous oxide. Think of NO as Viagra for your entire body. It significantly dilates blood vessels and bronchial tubes along with neutralizing germs and bacteria. That is straight out of this chapter in Ben's book. How can you learn Buteyko breath and reverse a mouth taping or mouth breathing habit? The two best methods are control pause technique and mouth time taping. I was talking about this with a friend of mine this week, and if you are even slightly thinking that you could have a sleep apnea issue, if you snore a lot, if you find yourself gasping for air in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep, try mouth taping. I know it sounds crazy, but the first time I did it myself, I did find like a little bit of discomfort in waking, trying to get more air than what you're naturally getting. And it's better to know than it is to go on without the knowledge, because then if you do know, you will put some effort into breathing properly and breathing softly through your nose and out your nose and getting a full night's sleep and getting better rest. The control pause technique is just naturally where you're sitting. You take a small breath in, a small breath out, and then you hold your breath after that small breath out. And essentially you hold your breath until you feel the slightest impulse that you need to breathe in. Okay? The first sign of air hunger, air thirst, however you want to look at it. When you feel that need, like, I need to get air. That count will let you know how proficient your breathing is. Essentially, a good CP is 30 seconds. A very good CP is 45 seconds. And Buteyko claimed that if someone had a CP of 60 seconds, then he or she is insured against illness. No disease can exist in an oxygen-rich environment. If you are oxygenating your tissues and organs properly, you are going to be healthy. That's just the reality. I don't know why more practitioners just aren't fully focused on saturating their patients and their friends and associates and their entire network with breath work and how dependent we should be upon this first and foremost. Fix your breath. You are going to fix several other things down the line. It's going to fall into place. You fix your breath, you will get your sleep. You get good sleep, you will get good recovery. You get good recovery, you can function better and throughout the day and do more. And you will want to do more. You'll start hydrating better. All of the afflictions that we think are due to not having time or energy, we will see a cascading effect from breathing better. That the results are absolutely, they're mind-boggling if you haven't experienced it. If you have experienced it, then you have no choice but to share that with others. It's so much better than a pill, ladies and gentlemen. So much better than outsourcing to, well, something that could be brutal on you and you cannot recover from if you're not breathing properly. So you go to the gym and you got a personal trainer and you're working out every day and you're sticking to some new diet, and hopefully you're getting good information on that, because that is a detriment too. But if you're not breathing properly and you do have something like sleep apnea, then you're going to have setbacks and you're not going to have the success that you would otherwise. All right. So measure that CP, start doing Buteyko breath, start doing some of the other techniques that we'll talk about here, and get that CP length longer and longer and longer and longer. And just so if you're on video, you can get a good idea. When you do this exercise, it's not like you're gasping a whole ton of air and then doing the exercise. You're literally just taking your normal small breath in and your small breath out and then holding. Get a stopwatch. Put a stopwatch to the side of this. Trust me, do it. First sign of air hunger, you breathe in, you check that time. I think the first time I did this, it was recently too. It was after years of breathwork and playing with all of this. It was 40 something seconds. So I have plenty of room to improve it still. And I'm training, really focusing. It's funny, I was focusing on sinus breathing, Buteyko breathing in jiu-jitsu a couple years ago. But I didn't really observe it and notice how proficient it was until I was videoing some of my sparring. And then I watched myself, my face, my expression, my body language throughout these training sessions. And trust me, no matter who you are going to have intense bouts and scrambles, and you're going to need to catch your breath. But especially if you're going with somebody who's smaller than you or less experienced, and you're just really defending yourself and working on techniques, and even though that gets pretty intense, you can absolutely see a difference when you're breathing properly in your face, in your performance, how you feel after. It's insane. You are calm in the pocket, and you're not worried about gasping and catching your air. Next exercise, box breathing. Look, this one is awesome as well. Calm you down. Former Navy SEAL Commander Mark Devine taught Ben this simple tactic for quieting the mind during periods of extreme stress. All right, so you're struggling to stay warm in a night, bone-chilling waves on the Pacific Ocean, or you're sitting in a giant tub of ice. This is one I'm familiar with. You use this tactic to resist the urge to flinch and to panic or to, lose your self-control, so to speak. Deep, intentional breathing helps regulate the autonomic nervous system. It will calm you down. All right, so you close your mouth. You slowly inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds. Then you hold after the breath for 4 seconds. Then you just repeat that. So you do this a few times. It will relax you. It will center you. There's an app for it, box breathing app. You shouldn't need an app. You can get a stopwatch and sit here if you need the assistance with the count. Otherwise, it might be a good way for you to be able to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the easiest way I found for myself to do it was the count up, count down, count up, count down, and literally sit there for a few minutes. If you find yourself stressed throughout the day, no matter what it is, you start to think about things that you have no control over, things in the future, things in the past, you've got a huge deadline for work and you don't think you can possibly finish it on time, sit down and hit the box breathing for 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm telling you, it's magical. There is also another technique that's very similar. It's called 4-7-8. And that one, all right, for a little information about myself, I constantly rest my tongue on the roof of my mouth up behind my front teeth. When I was young, they told my parents that my speech impediment came from this and that I shouldn't be putting my tongue on the roof of my mouth. I should rest it on the bottom of my mouth. There was corrective procedures and things that they were pondering to fix this issue of mine. Lo and behold, 20 years later, I realized it's not an issue or a negative at all. It's actually a positive. So it was another one of those misinformation things that arose in my youth because I said the letter S funny, and they wanted to correct or fix me in a way that would have been a detriment to my health later, and to my breathing, and to my jaw structure, my mouth, my teeth structure. Another whole wormhole in itself we could talk about later. But box breathing, the 4-7-8 technique. You begin by putting your tongue the tip of your tongue against the ridge of the tissue behind your upper teeth, the way I always do. Quietly inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then exhale audibly through your mouth, making a whooshing sound for 8 seconds. You repeat that cycle 3 to 4 times at least, and you've done a round of 4-7-8 breathing. Very simple. It seems very simple. It's another one of those things that will calm you down. It will slow down things. And humans have related the ability, the momentary capability of a nice, calm exhale with peace and safety. It's turning off fight or flight, so to speak. So if you ever need to calm yourself down quickly, just remember you can take a deep, shallow to medium, deep breath, and then exaggerate your exhale to dump your CO2. And that in itself calms you down. Take it a step further, go to 4-7-8 or box breathing. Absolute gold. Absolute gold. Going into a job interview, do a round of Wim Hof, then do a little box breathing and relax. You're going on to a podcast. You're going to be a guest. You are possibly going to be put on the spot, and you need to have a calm emotional state so that you can be rationally approaching any and every question or answer that you might need to. Calm, relax. Box breathing. Kundalini yoga breathing. I'm going to let you do a little research on that one yourself. Ben's a big fan. I am not so into yoga breathing. I haven't done yoga in years. When I did hot yoga, Bikram, because I like to sweat. And I was living in New York. It was cold winters, and it was one of those things I said, this is better than going in a sauna and steam room. I'm going to get that flexibility and get a nice routine of strength in flexible positions. And I did enjoy it. However, I didn't get into Kundalini breath, so I can't speak on it. Breath of fire. If you're in a stressed out state, this is not the technique you want to do, but it will invigorate your body. It'll activate the sympathetic nervous system. So to perform it, you inhale and exhale as quickly as you can through your nose, preferably. When I do this in the park in the morning, I exaggerate it. And I'm talking a good 60 to 90 seconds of that in between my Wim Hofs, or to start my morning before my Wim Hof. Love it. Sitali breath is known as cooling breath. It brings you into a centered, focused state of calmness. Close your eyes, curl your tongue, inhale through your open mouth. Then close your mouth and exhale through your nose. Simply performing 6 Sitali breaths when you're in traffic or overwhelmed with a stressful workday can be incredibly centering, according to Ben Greenfield. That one's not one of the ones I practice as much either. However, this one is alternate nostril breathing. This one, it's another yogi breath, but this one is one I found because I had a deviated septum, and the person that turned me onto it said, look, this will help with breathing through that side of your nose. And essentially, wherever you feel like you can block the sinus on one side or the other. For some people, it's a little higher than lower because of deviated septums. But essentially, you want to breathe through one side and exhale through the other side. Then breathe through that side and go back and exhale through the other side. So it looks a little like this. Obviously, repeat that for 90 seconds or so. And you can even hear in my sinuses, I breathe through one side better than the other. However, when I started this, it was absolutely insane how little I thought was getting through one side of my nose. Most likely due to having my nose broken a couple times. My deviated septum, I believe, came on after the first time I got this bridge broke here, and then it got worse when I got it broke the second time. And I think I've had it broke 3 times. So at least the third time was dislocated if it wasn't broken. So alternate nostril breathing. Then we get down to rhythmic breathing. Ben used this to get through long Ironman bike rides and runs. He realized that it could be used in just about every exercise situation, whether you're lifting weights, running, cycling. Rhythmic breathing can keep your body in a relaxed state no matter how hard you are moving. So it might be difficult to learn it in the beginning, but it is second nature after a few days. And basically, let's say you're walking, you want to inhale for 3 steps and exhale for 2 steps, and inhale for 3 steps and exhale for 2 steps, and just keep a good rhythm to your breathing. If you're lifting weights, you take in a deep nasal breath, exhale as you lift the weight, then inhale as you return the weight to its starting position. I did this one backwards for a long time. And I'm not sure if you lose reps based upon doing it the opposite way, or if you can gain reps by doing it the advised way. But I think either way, it's serving you and serving some great purposes regardless. Decompression breathing. So hunching all day at a keyboard, tilting our heads over our phones, commuting long hours, slouching on the couch, having poor posture and aggravating already poor breathing habits and patterns. This causes unnecessary stress. It causes strain on your joints. It restricts organ function. It weakens force output. So if you can wake up in the morning and do something that fights the effects of gravity and restores your body to a decompressed state, you can enhance circulation, breathe better, and stand taller with better posture all day long. You've got better digestion, no lower back pain. Decompression breathing is an assistance. The unexpected physical consequences of technology. I've talked about this before as well. You're working on a computer, you cannot help, even in the ergonomic situations where you have the proper thing to sit on, the proper height to your computer, you're still going to battle bad posture. We got these devices here all the time. You see it. People are like this. People are like this. You cannot help it. You're really not supporting full open function with any of these things. So each one of these things that we've gone over will serve you in breathing better. Most of it will serve you in being in a better state to perform, to have your daily activities, and therefore you will probably start to focus on your posture. But if you've ever seen an older person who is absolutely hunched over and cannot move well, that in itself should be inspiration to do whatever you can to at least be proactive and engaging things that would possibly render you in much better physical condition at that old age for yourself. Breathwork is by far one of the best. Obviously, it's not the end all, but it's definitely the one that we can all control. Everybody has time in their day at some point in time to focus on one of these exercises to breathing. We can get into apneas later. Breath hold walks. Hit a breath hold and focus out let's say you're walking 60 seconds and then try and get that nice little hold on for 30 seconds and then take a break and do it again. Holotropic breath work, something you need to get into with an expert and be led in laying on a yoga mat and have time and be ready to facilitate a deep experience with this one. This isn't something you're going to do in 5 minutes before you start your day. But Wim Hof breathing is something I've spoke on a million times. It's how I start every day of mine, regardless if I get into any of these other exercises or not. Wim Hof is my go-to It is my number one routine, my absolute must-have. It makes me feel better when I'm not feeling great. It makes me feel ready to approach the day every morning when I do it. So the results that they've seen from studies is an increase in red blood cells, the production of growth factors that lead to the development of new blood vessels, even in people with heart disease, by the way. The induction of nitric oxide synthase, which has a variety of positive effects on cell tissues and can assist with vasodilation problems like erectile dysfunction, gentlemen. The induction of tumor protein P53, that's the guardian of the genome. It protects your cell's DNA and prevents cells from becoming cancerous. I go back to that statement all the time that pathogens and disease cannot live in an oxygenated environment, in an oxygen-rich environment. So, a few minutes of hypoxia per day may stimulate your stem cells to migrate from bone marrow to the rest of your body, where they can stimulate the repair and growth of new cells. This can benefit many degenerative disorders, including Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and has been shown in rat models to stimulate neurogenesis in the brain by proliferating neural stem cells. Hypoxia can also help memory and cognitive function, and even exert antidepressant effects. You've been to therapy? You think you're depressed? You think you needed a medicine? I hope you tried breathwork first. I hope you tried breathwork first. All right. What have we learned about breathwork? You can get through stressful and intense situations with it. Painful parts of life, suffering. It's all far more, palatable if we can slow down our responses and relax and breathe deeply. And they say being in the moment is hard in this life at all, but hard with the technological age we are in, with all the distractions that are constantly around. It's a tool to not eliminate, but to at least set those things aside from time to time. There's a million different reasons we could apply these exercises to our lives for sure. And there's no way in one episode of a podcast that I could possibly break down, even for myself, what they've done, what benefits I've experienced, and why I insist and scream from the mountaintops all the time about breathwork. It's just there's not enough time in the day even. And I would be writing notes all the time to come back and insert more. That's really the profound effect that breathwork has had for myself. So I hope this is a little bit of information that will maybe one of these techniques registered with you, and while you're sitting at your computer, or while you're getting ready for bed, or when you're having a little bit of a stressful situation, you can go, you know what? I'm going to try that stuff out. I promise you profound results. Thank me later. Look, this was, episode 43. The best breathing techniques. If you want a good book recommendation, it's a big one. Boundless, Ben Greenfield. There's a ton in here, and too much to cover in single chapters for one podcast, for that matter. But a great resource if you have one on the coffee table to kind of get back into, whether you're a biohacker or you just want a little information about health and wellness. So thanks for joining me today. It was awesome. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. I will be talking to you all again soon. If you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys.